Hi guys, this is Sarva. In today's video, we'll talk about Scrum Artifacts. This is the fourth video in the Learn Scrum series from This is Sarva. The first video was on Scrum events and the second one was on Scrum theory and the third one was on Scrum roles. The links for those videos are given in the description below. Please check if you need to. Before we jump into Scrum Artifacts, for those people who do not know what is Scrum, Scrum is a lightweight collaborative framework. When we say framework, it's a platform for development to solve complex problems through adaptive solutions. The Scrum framework can be used by individuals, companies, and organizations. Jeff Sutherland and Ken Scuba came out with an alternate development model to the world of systems in the year 1995, and that is Scrum. Scrum framework is used for software application development largely. However, it can be and it is used by other areas as well. Let us talk about Scrum Artifacts now. Artifacts in plain English means that it's an object made by humans of cultural or historical interest. In the Scrum context, there are three artifacts. First, the product backlog. Product backlog basically is an order list, or we can say in simple terms as requirements, that will help in increasing the value of the product. That is basically to increase the functionality of the product. This is to be completed by the Scrum team. Product backlog is a living document. When you say living document, it is constantly getting updated. A portion of the product backlog will go to the sprint backlog after they become ready. What does it mean when you say the product backlog items becoming ready? These product backlog items will be refined in sprint refinement sessions. So what happens during sprint refinement sessions, right? So the product owner explains the functionality in the product backlog to the developers. These developers ask as many questions as they need to and get clarification from the product owner. The product owner gives the priority of the items in which order the product backlog items should be picked up by the development team. These developers, based on those order, pick up one by one and then they do sizing. When you say sizing, it means that they come out with what is the effort that will be required to complete one product backlog item. So essentially in these refinement sessions, basically the product backlog items are sliced into small piece of work, and those piece of work are assigned priority by the product owner and the sizing is done by the development team. After this exercise is done, those items are considered to be ready. So this one product backlog item may become a 3 or more or whatever the number of sprint backlog items depending on the size of the product backlog item. Number 2 is sprint backlog. Sprint backlog contains 3 items. Number 1 is a sprint goal. Number 2, product backlog items that are chosen for the sprint. Number 3 is sprint plan. When you say sprint goal is a single objective of the sprint. What is the outcome that will be happening after the end of the sprint? So what is the value that will be added at the end of the sprint? That is explained by the product owner to the team and that is represented to the stakeholders. Number 2 is the product backlog items that are chosen for the sprint backlog we talked about in this video. Number 3 is the sprint plan. Sprint plan is how the work will be done, that is planned by the team during the sprint planning session. Sprint goal is constantly updated. It is also a living document. So as the team makes progress, the team gets more understanding, then there will be a need or there might be a need for the team to make changes to the scope of the sprint or the sprint goal. So the developers talk to the product owner, discuss it, and then whatever is required, the necessary changes that will be made to the sprint goal. So that is basically inspect and adopt, two theories out of the three theories of the Scrum. The third one is the increment. By definition, the increment is a stepping stone towards the product goal. Basically, it is the work done by the developers as per the sprint plan to meet the sprint goal, and also it meets the definition of done. We will talk about the definition of done bit later. The increments are additive in nature. When we say additive, it is added to the existing functionalities of the product, and those functionalities that were working before the addition of the increment will continue to function as they used to function before. When we say increments are additive in nature, the increments are presented in sprint review session, and these are demos of working product. It is not a simple presentation. Multiple increments can happen during the sprint, and an increment can be released during the sprint, that is before the end of the sprint. Sprint reviews are not considered as gates for releasing an increment, and an increment is considered to be complete when they meet the definition of done. When we say the definition of done, by definition, this is the formal state of the product after it meets certain quality measures defined. A company or an organization may have its own definition of done. Then the Scrum team should make sure that it is met. The developers should conform to the definition of done. If an organization does not have a definition of done, then the Scrum team should define the definition of done as needed for the product and make sure the developers conform to the defined definition of done. Then only an increment is considered to be qualified to be released. In today's video, we talked about three artifacts of the Scrum: the product backlog, the sprint backlog, and the increment. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. Please put your comments. Please subscribe and press the like button if you like the video, and also press the bell icon if you like to get notification whenever I release my video. This is Sarva signing off. Be happy. Love you all. Bye-bye.